Do you have anger?
Not too much, because I've had it, but I've had to go through deliverance and things like that to rid a lot of that anger from holding things in the past. So I'm not as angry. No.
So do you have anger?
That's not often.
You have
Not
anger.
Not
Do you
often.
have-
I get frustrated,
Your wife-
but I ain't
yeah,
saying.
you have
I-
anger.
I get
anger.
frustrated,
What
but not
the-
angry.
Don't play.
Not anger, but I'm really kind of, I'm more kind of like this. So it's like
I
don't
think you
really
better
hold it.
control your emotions now.
Yeah. Then
12
that's-
years later.
Yeah, but we just said. Well, no, that's what we just
Now,
said.
but
in
the key question he said is, do you have anger?
Right.
Okay. So minimal.
Do you have anger?
Minimal. Yeah.
And do you have anger?
You said what?
See, you do.
Do
Do
what?
you-
What? Do I
Have
still
anger.
Not really. No, I have frustration. I have frustration, but not anger mostly.
Can you have frustration without anger?
Yeah. Yeah. You
How's
can-
that?
you can be
Since
frustrated.
frustration come from anger.
I mean, you could be frustrated, but not angry.
When you get frustrated because you've had a feeling of anger,
Yeah.
and then you feel frustrated.
Yeah, but I don't know. When I look at anger looks a lot more aggressive.
But it's not, though, it's weak.
Yeah. Frustration can just be be more irritated.
It's the son of anger,
Yeah.
the daughter of anger. You can't be frustrated if you don't have anger.
Anger.
That
Yeah.
does make sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. So if to answer your question, a little level of yes.
A little level of yes. Okay.
So what do you think about your wife saying, yes, you do have anger?
Because it's been a long journey. We've been together for 14 years now. So she's seen me prior when I was very angry. So, and I won't claim it now. I won't say I'm, I won't put, because once you say you are, then you are. So I just say, I don't.
But how will you ever overcome it if you don't admit to yourself that you have it?
Well, I've gone through that. I had to go through deliverance to get rid
What
of
does
that.
that mean, deliverance?
Deliverance is spiritually when Christ heals you of the things that were making you angry. So, but that was going through church. Just when you have been spiritually, and I want to say spiritually and prophetically talked to, and you have been counseled, I'm going to put it through that way, through things that you have to release.
But if you still have it, a little bit
of it, yeah.
then Christ haven't healed you from it. Because Christ is not going to heal you from
Right.
a little bit of
Right.
it. You know what?
Right.
Let me just leave a little bit.
Just leave a little bit left. Leave a little bit left.
That's true.
So I want to say, so then I do have, according to what you're saying, then there is levels of anger.
But not according to what I'm saying. You have to know for sure. Not just
I don't want
because
to lock
I
it
said
in. I don't want to lock it in.
But how will you overcome it though?
True. I mean, it's per case basis. It's what are you being angry about? Those things that I do, if it's something that's frustrating me or making me angry, what you're saying, those things are the things that I agree. I guess because God keeps revealing whatever that thing is that's making you angry that you need to deal with so you can release the anger of that. So is that kind of what you're saying? How do you deal with it that way?
How would you lead your wife if you have anger? Let's say she has anger and you have anger.
Yeah.
How can she look at the light and follow it if the light is dark?
Well, if you anger all the time, I don't know how a person could lead if they're always angry and they try to.
But not even all the time, period.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this question. So you stump your toe. First thing in the morning, you get out of bed, you hit that pinky toe. What does that do to you? You just be like, thank you, Lord, for that pinky toe bump.
No, not thank you, Lord, but I'm not going to get mad. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, that hurt. What the? But that's it.
Okay.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So how will your wife follow you if you're angry?
I don't know. I guess I'm gonna just start saying what the, and then let's move it out.
You know that any man that has anger is a
Yeah.
woman, right? It's the nature of the woman.
Yeah, I knew that was the. Because you saying because the nature of the woman comes from the mom, because the mom is because the hell in the mama.
Yeah. You disagree with that?
Do I disagree with it? I mean, it's levels to that. I mean, you mean what if your father's in the household?
But we talk about the mama.
Are we just talking? But I'm saying, what if you have a balanced household?
Well, the father's supposed to be there
Yeah.
to protect the children from the mama.
Yeah.
Stand between so the mother can't pass her anger on to the boys and the girls.
Yeah. And that's interesting because my mom, I can't recall my mama being angry.
Oh, yes, you are.
I can't recall it. I can't
She was
recall
perfect?
it. Huh? She wasn't perfect, but my mom has always been sweet.
Well, those
Not
are the
angry.
worst one.
Yeah, my mom,
No one that
she,
seems so nice and sweet,
Yeah.
undercover they raising hell.
But my mom would always tell you like it is, but she never did it angry per se. I didn't really experience.
Passive aggressive.
Would you say passive aggressive?
Passive
So
aggressive.
she's more
See,
passive
same
aggressive.
thing.
But is that the same definition
Same
of anger?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just another form.
Right. 1%.
Okay. You said 1%?
100%.
Oh, I think so. 1%.
So your mother, your mother didn't ever make you angry or do anything wrong that you resent her for? Or wish she wouldn't do or stop or...
Yeah, usually whenever she did that, it was because that was something I was doing out of line.
But because she had made you like her. When she was looking at you, she was looking at herself.
No, my mom is funny, man.
Have you forgiven her for what she done to you?
I've forgiven her for anything that I have, for certain things that me and her might not agree upon. But, yeah.
But have
I
you
have.
forgiven her for the mistakes she made and the stuff you did that you didn't like?
Yeah.
You
no,
told
for
her?
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Did you tell her that?
Yeah,
You
we
told
did.
your mother?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She didn't agree.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, she agreed now, but that,
Yeah.
with, years later and stuff like that. So you telling, how you go back and tell a parent about them
Yeah.
when you're an adult, parents still, they don't
The
see
ego
that.
doesn't
They don't
want
see
them-
that part.
They
don't
see it, but they don't want to admit
Yeah,
it.
they don't want it.
They definitely see it.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
And when you asked your father why did he protect you from her, what did he say?
Why he didn't protect me from my mama?
Yeah.
If I were to ask my dad that,
Oh, you haven't asked him?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
No. My biological father wasn't around.
Oh.
Yeah, my biological father, like I would visit him, but my stepdad was in my life.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
Have you forgiven your father for not being there?
Yes.
You told him?
Yes.
You told him I forgive
Yeah.
you for that?
Yeah, no, I told him like in a conversation we had. I didn't say it in that way. I said it in a way me and him talked about, what happened then till that point that we had talked and why
Right.
he wasn't around. And then he just had his own little reason, but I
Right.
couldn't deal with it. His reason wasn't for me, that was him. The question I asked
That's
him was
right.
I
He
said
could
it was
say
for
it
me.
in his
He could
help.
say whatever,
Yeah.
but it was for me.
No.
Yeah.
You have anger?
I think I have anger.
Yes.
It's way better than it used to be.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by way better?
Like in my household I grew up, my dad, was loud. It was like yelling going on.
Right.
So that was the way they communicated.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the way, by me being the last of 4 boys, I was the last of the kids. So I guess they made shifting changes as each child grows up, but that's how they communicated. So that's what I did. Yeah. But now when we talk, it's, I'm not loud.
Right. And have you forgiven your mother for imposing on you like that?
I have.
You told her?
Well, she's 83. She's here with us
You
now.
better tell her before she dies.
Stop it. Yeah, you know what, have I? I don't know if we've had that conversation.
I'm sorry.
But I've told her that,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be able to be in the position to take care and look after her and my dad. And I know that they did the best they could with what they had, because I felt like my parents were good parents.
But good parents don't pass on anger to the children. They don't fight one another.
Well, the way they raised, or I was raised, I didn't want for anything. They made sure I was in activities. Our power was always on. Never had to worry about water or food.
Right.
And we had conversations and talk.
But they were supposed to do that. They're the parent.
I know, but I work with kids, and that's not always the case.
I
And
know
so
it's bad
when you
now.
work with children and you see that,
Yeah.
and then it makes you look at your own life and like, wow, I didn't have to experience that. I always knew what my mom and dad was.
But why not go and forgive her before she dies so you could be free within?
I don't think I'm harboring anything.
But you still have the anger that came from her. And you're not going to be free. You know how God said if you want to enter into the kingdom, before you enter into the kingdom, you must go and forgive. And so if you don't go and forgive your mother, you're not going to enter into the kingdom.
Okay.
Because anger is of the devil. There's no love in it. It's very selfish. It's about self. It's never about anyone or anything. It's not even about the children. It's always about you. You try to make the children be the way you want them to be. You force your will on them and things like that.
Right.
And if you don't forgive your mother, you're going to do the same thing to your children should you have one.
Okay.
And it's going to be difficult for your husband to handle because he still has the anger too. It's a spirit that made a home in you. And only God can take it away, and he can't take it away unless we go and forgive.
Okay.
And you got to forgive your mother and your father for not protecting you. Your father can't handle your mother. That's why you were arguing with her. Because she
My mom always seemed sweet when I was growing up, but I
Yeah.
told my husband, I said, we didn't really get along when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I said, I know parents are supposed to tell their kids what to do, but I was like, she was always bossing me around.
Yes.
And sometimes I felt like she wanted me to do things based off what she wanted to do.
Exactly.
Me and my dad, we had disagreements too, but it was different.
Yeah.
I could talk with him. My dad could be mean sometimes, but at the same time, I know he had my back. She had my back, but it was still different. The conversations that I could have with my dad, it was different.
When you would ask him to help you deal with your mother, make her back off, what would he say?
What would my dad say?
When you told him that, did he help you?
Well, yeah. And then it would seem like it would be them, going against each other.
But at least he was fighting to protect you from it.
I never saw it that way.
But that's what he was doing because fathers love their children, but the mother make the kids think the father don't love them because the mother hate the father, and she tried in her anger she tried to make the kids rotate around her, and the worst thing that can happen to a child is for that child to love their father.
Are you saying they hate the father if they're in a tumultuous relationship or they're split? Because what if they they're in it's a great relationship. No one's perfect except for Christ, but what if they're in a great relationship and she don't hate the father?
But the only way that happened is that she had to have grown up close to her father, and then her mother didn't pass her anger on to her. Then she would have love, and that would be fine. But that doesn't happen in families now, especially nowadays. And so the mother is jealous of the children being close to the father. And if you were close to your father, she hated you for that. And she hated the father for letting that happen. Because I'm your mama. I had you. I did this, right? But when she said, don't be close to your daddy, I don't like him. Here you are close to him. I had you, and you worshiping him. She'll destroy you.
And I do remember that a lot of, it would be times when, they would, have their disagreements, and he would say things and I would, be like, oh, okay, yeah, but now based off what you're saying, it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really does. And yeah, I guess I will have that
If you-
conversation because I was a daddy's girl.
Oh,
I
you were
was
in
spoiled
danger.
rotten. My dad gave me everything that I wanted. I didn't have to,
No wonder your mama hated you.
Stop.
You were in danger. It was like living in Beirut.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Really?
Mothers hate children that are close to their fathers.
Yeah, me and my dad,
I was close to my mama and distant from my dad.
Oh,
and my
man.
stepdad, but I was close to my mama.
I'm sorry to hear that. I am sorry to hear.
I wanted to.
But you don't. Go ahead.
No, I always wanted to ask you that question, because you always had that question readily prepared, and your face be like this when you ask it. When you grew up, was that a thing? Did your mom hate your dad?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. And my mother tried to turn me away from him, but
Okay.
in my soul, in my body, I yearned for my father.
Okay.
And I knew that she didn't like him, but I still wanted my father, right? And so I would go and visit with him. My grandmother would let me go see him anyway, or whenever he's in town, he would come see me anyway,
Okay.
because I had that yearning for my father. And it wasn't until I forgave my mother for that my whole life changed. God changed my heart from anger to love,
Okay.
and my whole life changed.
Okay.
So what is the thing that you have to be seeking for specific forgiveness? Because, I know when it came to my dad, he could never get anything right. It was always something that he did, that was wrong, that it was never, ever good enough for her. And she and I would have those conversations, and we, have had it up in her 80s where,
Yeah.
I've always been the kid to be vocal and that my parents knew how I felt.
Nice.
Like my whole entire life.
If your father had gotten up and God came and picked him up and took him to work and said, "Good morning" to your mama, "Good morning, I'm here to pick up George," she would have hated him even worse. Because
Really?
the spirit, what it is, the God above is the man God, and the God below is the woman's God. And it's not her, but the spirit of the devil in her.
Okay.
And if they have not forgiven, they grow in that spirit of hate.
Okay.
Yes. You said the God beneath the woman is what'd you say?
The devil, Satan.
Hold on, ask that question again. I'm trying to process it.
The God above is the man's God.
Okay.
And the God below is the woman's God.
That's cute.
And so that's why men are so hated by women, because they represent God. Even if they're a beta male, they've been turned away from the father, so they're a beta, angry, emotional man.
Okay.
Looking to the woman to guide them and all that kind of stuff. But they still represent the sons of God, right? They just may be weak because they've been turned away. And the spirit in the woman, which is of the devil, know that. It knows that is a representation of God. And so it worked through the woman to destroy that representation. If you don't understand it, it'll go on from generation to generation to
Okay.
generation.
And this has to do with what happened in the very beginning of Adam and Eve.
With
Is that
Adam and
okay?
Eve.
Because now I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's making sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay,
that's,
I see where you're coming from.
That's why God said we must be born again of the spirit of the Father.
Yeah.
There will come a day when I return the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children. And until that happens, it's just going to continue going on. But
Okay.
once that happens, the mother and father the children, the boys and girls will be fine, and they'll pass on love to their children if they should have, and not hate. It will stop with them.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
It's your word, Jess.
No, does it make sense or not?
Does it?
It does.
It does.
Yeah, it really does, 'cause
I
now-
never looked at it from that perspective.
In hindsight, it makes
but-
sense now for me growing up and understanding, because I have 4 older brothers and they grew up different.
Yeah.
And their
She destroyed
stories,
them.
it was, it was their viewpoint, was different. Now my
Yeah.
dad still could be mean sometimes, but I know he was a loving dad.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me.
Boys and girls don't hate their fathers, and the ones that say they do, they hate their fathers through their mother's eyes. The mother may pretend she was the victim and made the kids feel sorry for her, impose her will, so they get angry. The moment they get angry, they identify with the mother, and they start seeing the mother the same way the father sees them. When inside they're yearning for the father, but because you become attracted to what you hate, controlled by what you hate. The mother has control over them then, and they're afraid to turn back to the father.
Yeah, this makes sense.
And so they yearn for their father. They don't hate their father.
Okay.